All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the August 7th Citizens Advisory Committee. Do you want to begin roll call?
Yes. Committee member Knight?
I am present. Hello, everyone.
Committee member Kester?
Here.
Committee member Harrington, or sorry, Chair Harrington?
Here.
Committee member Minkoff?
Here.
Committee member Terrell?
Here. Just in time.
Committee member Castillo White?
Here.
Committee member Rizzo? Committee member Stephenson, I think she was excused as well. Committee member Stevens? Here. And committee member Sunderland?
Here.
Do you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With the audio, it sounded like a round of music in here. It's quite something. All right.
Can you admit me to the?
I think that's a Dakota thing.
Okay. Great. So Matt, okay, just a little feedback here. Is it gone?
Not quite.
We good? Yeah. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, perfect. So next on our agenda, we have review and approval of the minutes from July 3rd, 2024. Take a look at those and see if there's any comments.
First, we should ask if there's public comment on any non-agenda.
Oh, I missed that. What happened? I was trying to go by memory because I didn't print out the agenda. I was like, darn it. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and open it up for public comment on any non-agenda items. Nobody here in the room. Anybody on Zoom have public comment?
nope.
All right, nothing from you, Paul? Okay. Well, then we will move on to the next agenda item. And we will look at last month's minutes and see if get those approved or updated with the needed changes. Any changes? Anybody like a motion?
Yeah. Move that the minutes be approved?
Perfect.
Second.
Thank you. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody? All right. Those are approved. So we are going to go on to our first discussion item, and that is the committee role. And I'm hoping everybody got a copy. I know it went out in email shortly after our last meeting. The original language document and then the changed language document that was in the bowl. So I want to go ahead and open that up for discussion and see what people think and where we are with it.
The only comment I had was oh gosh, in section A, the fourth line down, appointed members that also serve in other committees can fill this role. I just clarify, it's like, that is not exclusively, right? That's-
No, yeah, basically, where my brain was in that particular language was, we know just from reality that there is a lot of crossover between committees, and I mean, many of us serve on multiple committees, and out of sheer convenience, if a CAC representative that also serves on another committee can kind of fill the role that is stated there. Unless they don't want to, unless they don't feel comfortable being that sort of liaison, at which point somebody else can. That's, yeah.
That was the only, it just took me a bit to realize that, first page was the original, second was the draft. But other than that, I thought it looked good.
Any other comments, thoughts?
Yeah. One thing I do want to call out, just in case the Word document version didn't make it to everybody, the second major point under A, where it says the CAC will act as a liaison between neighborhoods, interest groups, etc. In the Word document, there's a comment there, and that may not have made it across, but basically, that's not new language. It's just the specifically underlined portion is existing language. It was just in section B prior. So, just so you know, Word formatting doesn't necessarily translate across to email delivery, so I just wanted to call that out.
So, and just clarification, we're reviewing this draft to then, what, recommend this as being the role description?
Yeah, the role description, and then I think some of the discussion of what to do next steps would be that we would put this kind of into a presentation format and then bring it to the council and do a presentation to see if they support the changes to this, and then updating that on the site, and then kind of reviewing this, so we have, yes.
Question, do we want to talk to town manager before council or after council, or where would we want to engage him as well?
I missed who you said.
Ray.
Oh, Ray.
Right. Where would we engage him, before or after?
And ultimately, getting this implemented is a change to municipal code. So and we can get opinions on it from Ray Young, but ultimately the decision is city council's. So I mean, they're the ones that would need to be convinced.
So would they go, Ray, what's your opinion, and should we have some type of knowledge of what that was before we present? That's my question.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
might be a nice place to like start with, and then we could have that be the second step. Yeah.
I guess maybe Dakota, this would be a question for you, and Chris Ann's email said there would be handouts at the meeting. Thank you.
Yep.
So I move that we send it to Ray
Okay.
for feedback, and that we craft this into a presentation for the city council.
Perfect. I would be happy to work on a presentation of putting it together and then bringing that back next month so that you guys can all give feedback and of course use your language. And then if we do, Ray wants to meet, I don't know if you would be comfortable coming also, and then
Yeah.
helping maybe co-present too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Since you did so much work on that one.
No,
Take credit.
I would be happy to take point on the presentation if you like. I mean, it's.
Totally up to you. I know you've done so much work. I don't want to burden you.
Oh.
Okay.
Relative to some of the things that I've been dealing with lately, this is such minimal work.
All right, well, if you're comfortable with that, I am happy to, take one thing off. I think that'd be
No
amazing.
worries.
Okay.
Any other questions about the text?
The only other thought, as I was going through this, because this traces back to so many different documents, I wonder at the very end, or maybe on the webpage, some part, we put like the references, because some of the language and such was found, definitions of CAC and what our role is in the comprehensive land use plan, there's some things, and then I know, Paul found another document where there was some reference to CAC's role. And so I thought it might be good to include that also. So if something happened and all this historical knowledge of our role and where it traces back to in the other documents, I thought it might be nice to have those there also.
Yeah, even just some mentions to it, because I know at least the acronym definitions are at least, are right at the top.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
if there's crosslinks or whatever, or elements from the other documents that we just want to make sure are mentioned for consistency's sake, sounds like a great idea to me.
Thank you for all that question.
Oh, yes, sorry, Will, thank you.
Oh, I apologize. I was having trouble finding where the document was, and I realized it was the Coda that sent it out, not Chris Ann. That's why I couldn't find it. So I'm just looking it over again right now. I apologize for that.
No worries.
I know it took me a few minutes also, because I was like, I know I've seen this, but,
So
yes,
I did put a motion that we move forward then.
Yeah.
perfect.
I'll second
Thank you.
Victoria.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you.
Thanks for the effort.
I'm going to go ahead and open up public comment on this item.
Paul?
Paul, anything you want to add regarding the development code?
No, just really sensory toilet. It's kind of hard to comment on something I haven't seen though.
Okay,
Maybe I could share this probably if we wanted to go through it with Paul, or Paul, we could probably manage to email it, or Dakota could probably manage to
I
email
can
you a
forward,
copy.
I'm on it right now, I can forward Paul.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Paul did send me from the Troutdale Development Code some mention of the CAC role in there also, and so I brought copies of that just to look, because I thought it might be another thing we would, as we're referencing. Alrighty. I'm sorry, what? This is just some mention of the CAC's role from the Troutdale Development Code. And for those online, I can get you guys a copy, I can forward an email copy of that to you.
Dakota, could you flesh out what a concept development plan is?
Concept development plan is basically the overarching, so when we're planning for the future, you create a concept development plan. Basically, for example, the town center plan is a form of a concept development plan.
Okay.
What, we have opportunity sites, what we would like to see in those sites. So this is a concept that we hope to achieve.
Okay. All right, so basically the way I'm reading this in language in the development code basically says when the town center plan gets reviewed, the CAC needs to be involved in doing it, which
Or
committee.
other types of concept plans.
Yeah.
So for example, another good example is, I'm starting to work on a proposal for a grant for Metro, for another Main Street style policy, separate from what we just finished up a couple months ago. That is something where part of the public engagement where CAC is going to be directly a part of that. Because that's a concept, that would be a concept that we're working to then potentially audit our development code to look for areas that we can improve with the concept plan that was adopted at the 2015.
Okay. Yeah, inserting some language into this specific, because basically that whole section is about the concept development plan review. So inserting a brief mention into this verbiage regarding that would be easy peasy.
Yeah, and I think then it's all pulled together and very
Yeah.
succinct with all the pieces that are in different documents and locations.
Yeah,
Great.
and we don't need to go into too much verbosity because it's here,
Yeah.
but some mention of it would probably be good, yeah.
Yeah.
So, review, that means there's no approval, and there would not be a checkpoint or anything like that, you send us a copy, and that's that, right?
We go more in depth than that. Typically with concept plans, it's early stages before we bring it to, we might be working with planning commission, but before we usually get there, we work with CAC first and do public outreach to get feedback on, hey, this is what we came up with. What do you think? You're all members of the citizen, that's the role, right? Is to be that bridge from me as a liaison to the people of the city. So we would bring it here, discuss, take feedback, go make adjustments, then bring it back here again, and then bring it to planning commission when we're at that point to have a couple work sessions, and then forward, and once we have that, a hearing, and so on and so forth to city council.
So, and is taking feedback involved in, is it documented in this, because first time I've seen it now.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, to me, there's a big difference of the review, responsibility as compared to providing feedback, which is a different piece of review, right? And then there's the take action on the planning committee part, which, again, that's not considered neither review or feedback.
Well, the last, sorry to butt in, but the last part of section A there is that comments from the CAC get forwarded to planning commission.
Yeah.
So, the feedback from CAC would then be part of the planning commission review.
And how we take it in planning is that's all encompassing, like you have the review and feedback. Not just like, hey, look at it,
Thanks.
we're moving, yeah, exactly. Because the whole point of, this is, concept plans are also, our comprehensive plan, transportation plan, stuff like that. Whenever we make changes to those things, those are large overarching plans that affect the entire city. So when we do the updates, that's stuff that we would discuss here, get feedback, see what we changed, work through some of that stuff here, and then move it forward after we have comments. We take any critical feedback, make adjustments, come back, what we think, and then move forward. Similar to kind of how I know CAC worked on the chicken permit. It's not a concept plan, but something similar to that.
One more question. When I was looking through the comprehensive land use plan, it did say periodic review, and I know that kind of leaves it open-ended. And it looks like the last one was done about 10 years ago. What is the definition of
10
period?
years.
Okay, periodic.
So we
is
need
10.
that's something we're going to be working on here, probably within, we have to discuss it a little bit more with the bandwidth, but we need to update it.
Okay,
So it's at a time where we need to update it.
okay.
Yeah. So that is something that we will start with.
Yeah, Chris?
So I guess I have two questions on this. This might sound kind of silly, but I just want to clarify because there's a lot of new kind of lingo to me here. So what do we mean by concept development plan?
So yeah, in that similar question, right? The concept is, it's It's a forward-looking plan for the city. So the town center plan that is in effect now was started off as a concept plan that was developed in 2015 and then worked through to create an actual overlay that now we have specific standards for what we want the town center area that's within the overlay boundaries to look like. So the concept plan is, our comprehensive plan is a concept plan. Comprehensive plan looks out 25 years, I believe. So we are always looking to the future of what do we want the city to look like at this date. We have maybe a really rundown property that's owned in downtown. What would we like to see there? We don't control it, we don't own that, but what would, if that ever gets sold and redeveloped, what do we want to see on that? Similar to the town center plan, opportunity sites were established. So those are opportunity sites. The city doesn't own those, but when they go to develop, we can't force someone to develop differently. However, this is what we would like to see. Here's the concept plan. This is what we'd like to see in that area. This is the kind of development we would like to see there. So it's more of a vision for the future.
And I guess my other question, so I was looking at point E on here and it says, concept development plan expiration date. And I guess I was a little confused because as I read over that, it just talks about within 2 years of the effective date, some things will be submitted, and it also talks about how you can get an extension of expiration, but it doesn't talk about when or how one of these things would expire, so I guess that heading's a little strange to me.
So most applications have a 2-year window. Most type 2, type 3, type 4, this would be a concept plan is type 4. They have a 2-year window to see action, otherwise it expires. Just like a type 2, if you were to say, you want to build an apartment complex, it's approved under a site development review, you have 2 years to break ground, to get your building permits and break ground. If you don't within 2 years, you need to resubmit. And the reason for that is plans change, codes get updated, state requirements come in. So you might be approved a year later, there's a code change due to a state requirement. You're still building based on what you were approved of a year ago. But if you don't resubmit, or if you let it expire, now you have to meet the current standards. So for concept plans, while their vision, their future, that's how, I'm using town centers, it's the most recent one that we've had. That's how that started, was here's a concept of what we'd like to do. How do we take these ideas from the concept plan and turn it into action? And that was with the town center overlay and creating a town center. And that's why we have town center specific design standards and guides within our development code. So that was the action taken to where the town center, the concept plan was called something different, I can't remember off the top of my head. That's no longer in effect because the action was sought, that we had code amendments, we changed our code, created an overlay, we did the things within that were envisioned that are now enacted. So that's what that means. And if nothing was done, you could create a concept plan. It might not be feasible depending on the vision, that if nothing happened, that plan expired, time to go back to the drawing board and see what we want to change, do something different, move forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Seeing any? Nothing on Zoom? Okay. We will go ahead and close that agenda item and move on to our next agenda item here. And I'm just gonna change documents. And we are already on staff communications.
Wow. I'm used to doing this way. So before we get into full-on communications, this was something I mentioned to those who were a little earlier. It's something that staff has noticed in our Muni code and wanted to bring forward, so I'm just going to share my screen so everybody can see this. It's regarding trees. Let me go ahead.
You said trees?
Trees.
Okay.
Okay, so chapter 13, section 10.150, pruning and maintenance general requirements. This first line here says care and maintenance of street trees is the continuing responsibility of the adjacent property owner. That's something we wanted to discuss. While it makes sense, and that's what most cities do, certain areas within our city might not. Specifically that came to mind for us was 257. A lot of properties back up to it, walk all the way around. So we're wondering, we're not gonna come to a decision now, just kind of if this is something you guys would like to dive into and kind of discuss what's, like, if you think this is something that could be changed, if we can add some more information to that. And at next meeting, like I said, this was kind of brought to me a little bit towards the end of the day-to-day, that I wanted to bring it forward to everybody to just kind of think about, review it, see what you all think. And then we can move forward with discussing it further at next meeting. But just right now, is that something that this committee would be interested in discussing about maybe having some areas that are not responsible for adjacent? Because like I said, 257, that's the one that comes to mind. It's a very busy street, properties back up to it. You know, if you have someone overgrowing the sidewalk, technically that's your responsibility. But you might have to get all the way out and around. So that's something we're looking at along with some of our, as we're going through trying to come up with some different IGAs with the county for maintenance and things of that nature. There's just some areas within the city, it's not necessarily feasible for the property owner to be able to maintain the street trees.
May I ask a question? I mean, would us discussing or revising the language really change how it's enforced? In other words, is discretion already applied?
Right now, I guess the code reads, as the municipal code reads, it's pretty straightforward that it is the property owner's responsibility. Code enforcement can go out there and, you know, give a notice of, hey, you have to have this cleaned up. If that's changed to, again, I don't know exactly how, that's something we'd have to discuss. If there's specific areas where, except for on this section of 257, it is now the county's responsibility to maintain, then that's something that has a little bit, that we can write into our IGA with the county, intergovernmental agreement.
So not necessarily criteria, general criteria, but instead specific areas that we'd say.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So if you're looking for, feedback, yes, seems reasonable for the committee to discuss and contribute.
Question. So I'm just making sure I understand the concept. So we live along Beaver Creek. Let's say there's a tree that's getting ready to fall over onto our property. Who is the landowner for that green belt along Beaver Creek?
Without looking at the map, if it's open space, then it's the city.
Okay.
And then that would be typically our parks, and they handle all of our maintenance within the city.
Mm-hmm.
So parks would be.
But is what this is telling us is that being the adjacent, the RV park,
Mm-hmm.
they're responsible for going in and trimming the trees, and that's on the city's property?
This is specifically for street trees.
This is
Street trees.
Yeah, this is specifically street trees.
Street trees.
In that case, then that's a call to parks and notifying them of, hey, this is a danger. And typically at that point, the park superintendent will come out, take a look at it, and then make a call of, yep, that either needs to come down, or no, and then depending on whose property it is, it's that property owner's responsibility.
So I mean, again, I'm just trying to wrap my hand around street trees now, so I'm trying to see, in my mind, trying to think of where there are street trees, and you had the one example.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any other examples.
I can think of, so up by the school, Troutdale Elementary, there's Strawberry Meadows, and they have these big fences, and during the last storm, on the other side of the fences, a bunch of the trees broke and were on the sidewalk for months.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the city just finally came and picked it up, but I think that's probably another example of where you see that.
Exactly, and I know this goes into a deeper discussion for, blackberries are really a big thing on Troutdale Road. They're not a street tree, but that's just kind of, this kind of sparks that discussion.
So is a tree in a curb area in front of a house, that is also a street tree?
Yes.
Yeah, that's in the public right of way. Those are the only street trees. If it's on your lawn, then that's on your property.
Yeah,
But if it's in the planter strip between the sidewalk and the curb, yeah, those
so
are
we
typically
have a lot of street trees, yes. Yeah.
I mean, I would be interested in discussing it, although there's a part of my brain that says that this potentially opens up a giant can of worms by introducing uncertainty into what is now a relatively straightforward code assignment of responsibility. And it should be discussed, but personally, I'm not sure that's uncertainty that we want to add.
I think the goal from planning on this was kind of noticing it and seeing that it's trying to keep it to very specific locations. And having those said locations then enter into this code, where that first line would not change. It would have maybe a line in parentheses or something afterwards, except from, Halsey Street and 257th to XY, location Cherry Park or something like that. I think that's kind of what we're looking at, is should there be certain areas, because anybody can say, I don't want to deal with the street trees, but that's just not the case.
And the only reason I think it's potentially a can of worms is if you open up the possibility for exceptions for things like street tree maintenance, the same kind of arguments very quickly get presented for things like snow removal. Because I know one of the big beefs, for the last couple winters, is snow removal on the sidewalk coming down 257th and right in front of what was then county-owned property, and nobody was removing the snow. So, but that is a thing that is always the responsibility of the adjacent property owners.
So Woodrow, do you have any history on this? I mean, was there community complaints? Was there any citizens that started talking about this? I mean, where did it come before planning?
I'm not entirely sure, this was mentioned a while back briefly in passing, and then it was just kind of brought back to me, I was reminded of it today. And so that's why I need a little bit more background myself. I don't want to speak out of turn. It could have been something that was brought up during one of our First Friday events, because planning has been tabling the last couple of First Friday events. It could have been something like that, could have been a questionnaire, one of our questionnaires that we've had out. But I can't speak to where this is stemming from. I just know it's been kind of an issue that many have noticed. I can't say that anybody's brought it to our attention, because most of the time that goes to our director. That doesn't come directly to me. So I'd have to check with our director on that.
I think it'll be good to have a discussion, then we can at least have clarity, and then there'll be, at least from our group, understanding of what the
And
responsibilities
it could
are.
also be that, no, we shouldn't touch this.
Yeah.
But just something to kind of think about, and then we can also bring it back next meeting, just kind of, what does everybody think? And then we can either dive deeper into it, or, and I will get a lot more clarification next meeting as well. But yeah, it's kind of something that we want to bring as thought.
And it was specifically, you want us to look at the 13 point, that piece
Correct.
of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the rest is.
Okay.
All right. A couple other updates. As we were discussing earlier, Wayfinder has their TCO. Actually, it's called the Highlands. So that's the name. That's their official name. So they have their temporary certificate of occupancy, so they are open to the public. That is for the food carts, Wayfinder Brewing. Can't remember, I think there was one more business location that's in there that's currently open as well. But they don't, they're still working on part of it, and that's where Going Gaming will be going in, and once they are finished.
The ice cream shop goes in there too?
There is a ice cream shop coming in, yes, along with Checkerboard Pizza. It's also coming.
Pizza place is serving.
Okay, so they're the one, I couldn't remember, I knew there was another one that also
Yeah.
that was also part of
Yeah.
that overarching, so.
Yeah, last time we were down there, Wayfinder itself was serving, the pizza plate, checkerboard was serving, and there was one of the 3 food carts was open.
Great. Awesome. The other thing is, as we noticed, we have Home Forward moving along. They anticipate being completely finished within 18 months. So January of next year, or 2026. They should be completely finished. As you notice, that the earthwork has been moving right along fairly quickly. We also have an update on my notes from last meeting. There was a question I mentioned that Taste the Village had a pre-app coming in. They had their pre-app. They are planning, what they're proposing right now is having a restaurant on the bottom floor and a hotel on the upper floor. Currently right now it's apartments, and they want to convert those to a hotel, small style hotel, but doing a lot of internal work. They're also planning on doing some external work, basically bringing the facade back to its original facade and bringing back the large windows that were originally in place. So they're meeting the requirements of the town center that we have. It's our Appendix A of our development code. In their narrative, they're very thorough in how they will meet that. So it was a very good meeting. They had a lot of great information. A lot of their questions were for Public Works, which is to be understood. They're doing quite a bit of, we have a lot of questions for them for just making sure everything's up to code, making sure they know where locations are. The back area, they also want to change. That's going to be a full deck. And they're removing the 6-foot fence, which is to town center plan guidelines, and putting in a 4-foot fence, and then setting back a section of that fence and having a 6-foot gate. Removing the trash enclosure from the front to the back, revamping the ramp for ADA accessibility, changing the entrance location to meet current ADA standards for building code requirements. So they're very on top of what it is. I'm not sure, they have a lot of work to do to see if they're going to be coming in for building permits. But as of right now, it was a good meeting. They have all their information they need. So hopefully they'll be coming in with something. They do own the property, so I'd like to move forward with that.
So this is the same owners,
Different owners,
and do we know what their restaurant's gonna be called, or what's it?
not yet. They did not specify in the meeting. So this is it was preliminary. They just wanted to see what they needed to get going. Quite a bit of building permits, making sure they have their public works permits as well.
Do they need to review with the liquor license with you at all, or how's that work?
When they come, so say they were to, when they're at the point of opening the restaurant for liquor license, they do need to have a business license, and then they also need to go through OLCC to receive the liquor license.
So that doesn't transfer with the other property?
No, that stays with the person who applied. So if you're the owner, you apply, you have a business license, you sell the business, the liquor license is still in your name, not the location.
And do we know, is the public knowledge who the new owners are, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not going to say, because I'm not sure if they would like that right now.
Understood.
I'm not entirely sure if it's public knowledge.
Any word on the people that are currently renting upstairs? Are they going to be given a timeline for finding new housing, or did they talk to that at all?
They didn't speak to that, but a question was mentioned, and they'll follow the guidelines that they need to. Good. And then there was an update. I know I didn't have a presentation for it, but I'll talk a little bit deeper. There was some questions last time, and we don't have any new applications in currently, but there was a question, a little more information on the type 3 application that's going to Planning Commission next week. So just a brief, I'll go into the details of what they're proposing, but just an update on next week's meeting. The applicant has some work to do still with the county, and they're currently under review. Since the county won't have the review done prior to the meeting, they have extended their meeting, continued the meeting to a date certain in October. That will give them time to receive it, we can receive the comments from the county as well, to have that part of the staff report for planning commission to read and hear. So next meeting, it's on the agenda, it will be opened, continued, and then closed. So it's on there, but it's not going to be heard until October. But that is the Halsted project off of 257. I'm pulling up their plans now. I know they're requesting multiple variances to setbacks. So I'm just going to pull up their narrative. So I can give a little bit more information.
That one.
So they are requesting a variance to reduce the northern building side yard setback by 25% from 20 feet to 15 feet. Variance to reduce the eastern rear yard setback for proposed parking by 33% from 15 feet to 10 feet. And then another variance to reduce the size of the private outdoor space requirement on the upper level by 30% from 60 feet to 42 feet. Those are the variances that they're requesting. They are proposing to put in, I believe it's 15 townhomes in that location. And then with the variances, the setbacks. So it's a site development review and variance application. It's a combined application. Since their variances are over 15% that they're requesting, it makes it a type 3. That's why it'll be going to planning commission.
Right, but as he said, there's not expected to be any real action on that.
Not at next month's or next week's meeting, because they're not going to hear any of the public comment. They're just opening it, continuing it, and then closing. Just because the applicant they're not prepared at the time. So that's the way that they can do it. It's still within their 120-day requirement for completeness, and so it'll be heard at the October planning commission.
Is this that site that's like just down 257th from the high school on the northeast?
Yes.
15 in there, wow.
I believe it's 15.
Used to be horses.
Yeah, no, not big tree.
Yeah, it's right kind of kitty corner from the memory care facility.
Yes, okay.
Let me just pull up their notice really quickly. So no. 15 dwelling units, yep, and 45 off-street parking spaces.
Gonna be cozy.
It's a their design is a good looking design. It's just a matter of the variances. And then I'm gonna check our forward-looking calendar, which is, as I mentioned, this is something that's sent out, our director sends out to our planning commission, and I spoke with her, and so it was sent out today. If it is something that you all are interested in, I'm happy to always forward it off to everybody. She creates this forward-looking calendar, and I'm happy to share it. I'll just share my screen really quick so you kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So this is our forward-looking calendar. This is something our director puts together. It just kind of shows, like I said, she does it for planning commission, but it's also good information. It shows the next couple of meetings, and here you'll see where it talks about the case file, how it will be moved to the October 9th meeting. Continuing, so here, this is what we'll be working on, the case file for the townhomes, and then our code amendment, we're still working through that with planning commission. We're going to bring that to next meeting as well. And then after that, we'll be putting together our omnibus, which is a overarching code amendment, basically fixing Scrivener's errors for the most part and adding clarity to the code. It's nothing that's drastically changing. So in this code amendment, it's basically, prior to me being here, I think the last code I saw that had these things was in 2017, but things were accidentally removed during the last several code amendments. That, for example, if you look at our VECO standards, there is a section of how to measure the vegetation corridor, and it references that section, and there are no graphics. So those are being put back in. So that's kind of what this, it's just clarity. We've been having to send applicants that have questions sections from the old code because they still have it in there. So now our code will be up to date, having everything in there properly. And then just other than that, just basic cleanup of punctuation, uniformity throughout the code of certain standards, for example, writing out numbers rather than just having the number. We want to have them written out and then the number in parentheses, so going through the code. So it's very minor changes. That's what an omnibus is, because it's not a drastic change to the code. And that's what we'll be putting together. We're still working on our next meeting next week. We'll be going through that again with Planning Commission with the hopes to be bringing a full-on code amendment package for the omnibus to the October meeting. That one's my project. It's more of a long range. That'll be a type 4 application. So then this is something that this is a table, and this goes all the way back to when Nick and I both started of the projects. So these are some of the projects just from this year that have been approved, and it has more information on what the applicant is seeking over here. So this is currently our last case file at the moment. We're anticipating at least 3 or 4 site development reviews to be coming in through discussions that we've had. So it's basically a year review and then looking at what's coming in the future. Then it goes into our grants. And so if everybody like this, it's something I'm happy to send out when I get it. We typically won't have it in time for our meeting because it's sent out a week prior to the Planning Commission, and we're always 1 week prior, so it's usually sent out kind of towards the end of the day. If I get it in time, I'd have to forward it before I'm off to get some dinner before coming here. So I'm happy to forward it if I get it in time, and if not, then I'll just forward it the next day, so everybody's aware.
Great.
Yeah.
How much of this gets ultimately put up on the website somewhere?
We try to put all of this on the website, except for example, the applications, they're all up there. All the applications, since we've started, since Nick and I have started, I believe it was maybe 4 months afterwards, we started adding it. So now we've been adding all applications that we have up on the website. Our director has been working diligently on adding a section for grants. She's been working with Chris-Ann a lot. Chris-Ann's been uploading a bunch. We're just trying to get as much as we can to the public, so everybody can see it. There's a spot on the website for it. The only thing that's not on the website that doesn't pertain are pre-apps, because those are pre-application meetings.
Okay.
Because those are very preliminary. It's nothing set in stone. They're coming in with questions of potential development. A lot of times, based on what they hear, a lot of people pull out. It just depends. Or they get all the information they need to put together a great code package or a great application to submit. Pre-application meetings are very useful because it helps with not having to deem items incomplete and continue kicking the can down the road. Usually we can get them all the information they need right off the bat to put together a complete application, so when we get it, we can deem it complete and move it forward. And that is all.
Great. Any comments? Questions?
I have one quick thing that I was just gonna deal with in committee comments, but if you have any conversations with the Home Forward folks, I have one request and one suggestion. I know they have been doing their darndest to keep the dust down over there, but I know it would be a greatly appreciated mitigation sign from the construction company to give like surrounding, or to provide surrounding business owners and homeowners, maybe a handful of free car washes. Because we've been going through a lot of those lately. And so, but anyway, so there's that. And then, ever so briefly, I'm switching to an HLC hat. If we have any influence over Home Forward as to what they name that complex, it would be nice if they named it in such a way to give a nod to the flower farm that was historically occupying that field.
What was the name of the flower farm that occupied?
I don't know if it had a specific name. I think it was probably just the family that owned it, but just any sort of nod that it was historically a commercially producing flower farm. That was kind of a fixture of historic Troutdale. And so a nod like that from Home Forward would be fantastic.
I know the construction crew that's working, they're very open to hearing from the neighbors and stuff. So that's something, next time they have a meeting with them, we can just point out there. I don't know about the naming. I'm not sure if they're going to be putting something out for ideas or if it's just what, they already have a name picked out and what they're going to be playing. I'm not entirely sure how that works.
I don't either, but I'm just, if it comes up in conversation, or if it can even just be made as a suggestion.
Yeah.
Especially given some of the sometimes less than positive interactions between Home Forward in general and the surrounding community. I think it would be a very nice gesture, from the development to the surrounding community, saying, okay, we are at least seriously thinking about our place in this community.
I can put that in our building team usually has meetings with them. And so I can put that in there here. And so I know some developers, they have, like right when they build, they know what they're calling it. Others, we've had meetings, I've been in a meeting where they're talking about wanting to do something and then, hey, what do you think we call it? So it's kind of up to, up in the air, but I'll happily put that in the ear of the building folks when they have the next meeting. If that ever comes up to, hey, this is a good thing, I think it's a good idea. We can't control it, but it's something to put in there.
Great. And I don't see anybody with their hand up on Zoom. Oh, hey Sandy.
Hey, I just had a quick promo announcement that August 27th is the filing deadline for a city council position. And I know there's 5 positions open, the mayor and 4 councilors. And a couple of them, I think, people aren't running again. So encourage everyone to apply.
Thank you. Just one more thought before we close this and move to committee comments. When you were talking about Home Forward, I went to their website and was looking for just some pictures of what to expect and what to come. And there's only 1 or 2 graphics out there. And I was just wondering if they have any updated or is that it?
The only thing that we have on file is what was approved.
Okay.
And even that is a bit interesting given the way it was approved. That's all that we have on file, because they haven't gotten there yet as far as building permits. They're just doing their grading and erosion right now.
Okay.
I'm sure hopefully they'll put up more schematics for an idea in the future when they get to that point, but I don't foresee that happening for at least another 6 months.
Okay. Yeah. The one I don't know if you guys on the website, it looks like one building's been cut in half. It's kind of odd, the one picture they have up.
2 L-shaped buildings on the south end of the lot, and then one kind of straightish building that's on this end, that's gonna be some units and administration in the community space. And and then they were talking about, sort of a courtyard play area kind of thing in between the two L buildings, and then all the parking is gonna be kind of around the perimeter. So,
All right, we'll have to see.
you know, that was what was on most of the pictures that I ever saw.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move to committee comment. Let's start with our members on Zoom. Will, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Hello, everyone. Just not too much. Just wanted to apologize for missing last month's meeting. Did want to, though, take a second to again thank Adrian for taking the lead on this project, as well as the group for working it to completion last month. Wanted to welcome Frank and James to the group, and look forward to learning more about you two and meeting you in person soon. Congrats to Chair Harrington and Vice Chair Barney on the election of their respective positions. And lastly, thank you as always to Dakota and Chris Sand for their support of the group. Thanks everyone, and see you next time.
Thanks, Will. Kevin?
Well, Will just listed everything that I was going to say myself. And I know that's kind of a cop-out, and I'm not one for cop-outs, but I too missed last month's meeting. We were down in Southern California pulling our camper trailer, and anyway, I'm not sure whether we were on our way to Mesquite, Nevada, where it was 120 degrees, and I felt my skin crackling when we went outside. But in any case, I know it was an election meeting, as well as a lot of hard work done on the definition of the CAC, and I think a lot of good work was done. And as Will said, congratulations, Twyla and Chris, for your positions, elections, and thanks, Adrian, for a yeoman's job on putting together that Word document, and thanks everybody else.
Thank you. All right, Diane, do you want to go, or?
Yeah, excuse me.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I had a few questions. One was, is there any apps for the Hereford corner appearing at this time?
Which one?
Where 257 intersects with Historic Highway, the Fair Lot.
No, not at this time.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, and I don't know if I brought this up in the past. Have you heard anything on the progress of the Grand Ron Casino in Wood Village?
I have not. This is the
Okay.
first time.
Because I'm looking it up, because they weren't gonna do it, and then they weren't gonna do it, and then anyway, and then some private people were leasing 5 acres somewhere in the Gresham area as a hold, and then fighting the Grand Ronde tribe. The only reason I'm asking is anytime a casino comes in, I think it affects a 20-mile radius of community. And so I just haven't been able to see lately on any of their newsletters or anything, if it's a done deal, if it's something open to conversation, or what's going on with that project, because it would highly impact the whole community. It's they're proposing it behind the Fred Meyer, which was the old Greyhound station.
The old dog track.
I thought
Yes.
I
Okay.
thought that was put to a vote by Multnomah County. And the vote, that this is a number of years ago, that they were going to put in a water park and a casino and the whole amusement area as well. And it was voted down. by residents of Multnomah County.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, if they have a say, but I know Tina Kotek also has, as of a year ago, said she was putting a moratorium, I don't know if she can or not, on second casinos for tribes. So, there's some different conversations going on, but just in case you hear anything about that, because a lot of people have been asking, a lot of people aren't necessarily for it, and I've been asked that question quite a bit. The other question is, with us having parking issues now, well, we've always had, but I know that not being able to use the home Ford property is gonna impact quite a few things. What committee is having that discussion? I know they talked about a parking feasibility study or something like that. Which group of people are getting that package? Where is that gonna go?
The parking feasibility study is ongoing right
Okay.
now. That's a better question for Marley, she's the
Okay.
one leading that grant.
Okay,
So I'm not entirely sure where she's at with the community outreach, or where she's at all, on the project. I know that's been going on for quite a while.
okay,
Or at least it was on the topic right when I started a year ago.
yeah,
But I'm not sure where she's at with it right now.
okay,
So
okay.
that'd be a better question for Marley.
I will, yeah, because the one thing is when we were trying to go to the old general store, I forget the name of it, the popcorn cafe, deluxe sandwich shop. My daughter, she's pregnant, she's gonna deliver in 2 weeks, but she has 4 children. And I know for older people, we've always been concerned, where do they park, because if they're uphill, you know what I mean? And that thing, and she said, I couldn't find a parking spot, I had to go around and around and around and around, during lunchtime or whatever, so it just brought it home to me, because at Town Center Committee, the first one, we were always concerned with the parking. And then where we were given, at the time we were having the discussion, well, just people don't know where their parking spots are. They're just all over the place, so they possibly sufficiently meet the needs. And with the brewery and with the food carts, which looks like a success, it's beautiful. And I mean, great, we have more opportunity to gather and, and to eat and stuff, but a lot of us had figured that out years ago. We were hoping that was gonna be the spot with the new city hall and such, and last administration just didn't jump on it quick enough, et cetera. And so, I don't want that, my heart is not wanting that opportunity to gather to be stifled, or for the businesses that are doing a good job to try to provide us something that we don't have the ability to do that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is, I'm not sure if in the town center, along the waterfront, on that committee, if we need to seriously think more about parking for the community. And that's why I'm bringing it up at this point. This might be not the right place to do that. But it's we got the walking path underneath the bridge now. And, if we have some community needs, it just might be the time to think, well, let's maybe rethink that area. And you carve out a little bit more that might not be available to a developer. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just bringing that up.
Great.
And that's all I have, and thank you for your part in tonight's meeting. Thanks.
James,
No comments or questions.
Victoria.
Thanks again, Adrian, for all your hard work on this. And that's about it.
Adrian.
Yeah, I'm really torn on where kind of the whole parking thing needs to go, because I know we want to very much encourage people to come to all of these businesses, but and obviously, there's not automotive capacity for everybody to come down as much as they would like. And that's a headache that, every business district in the larger metropolitan area has to deal with. And exactly how we tackle that, whether it's, trying to carve things out of Confluence to have some more community parking or to try to figure out some sort of more permanent shuttle system to get people into downtown. I'm not sure what the right answer is, but I mean, it definitely needs something, because I think it's only a matter of time before some of these streets, like Second and Kendall, I mean, at peak times with downtown businesses, are considered to be dangerously impassable. And it's only a matter of time before I think the city is forced to make a lot of these town center streets, I mean, in the overlay, parking on only one side of the street. And that's gonna make some local businesses grumpy because it's taking away a lot of parking. But the way things are right now, I think is just, I mean, we're just asking for accidents and asking for trouble. But yeah, I'm not sure what the right answer is, but it definitely needs some serious attention. And I asked my question, I made my things on Home Forward. I am taking pictures periodically, watching the development progress, watching them swing those giant retaining wall blocks around is always interesting. And the quantity of dirt that they're moving is always fantastic, but it's a neat project to watch from your front porch. So yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you. Chris?
Guess I would just say thank you everybody for another productive meeting. And I guess I would just voice that I too share the concerns about the parking with all the things coming in. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Thank you. Woodrow?
I too was absent last meeting, joining the crew of Infamous. Nice to meet you, gang. Nice meeting you also. And yeah, I met my wife for lunch the other day. And having her run across Buxton in her heels was very dangerous because we had to park down the street. And yeah, I had to hold her hand the whole way. So there's positives and negatives, but still, as we get more and more busy and people start, parking further away from this nice place, yeah, there's going to be a lot more pedestrian traffic. There's going to be people crossing the street more often and not always on corners and things like that. So I think there's, with every incident, there's opportunity. And I also have to admit that I went to downtown Portland, had lunch today, and used Parking Kitty. And that was seamless and flawless, and they were happy to take my money. But I had a parking spot, and I knew it was all good. On the other side of this conundrum is when I'm telling my weekend neighbors about all the great things to come into Troutdale and do, they want to bring a 24-foot F-350 dually downtown, right? It's walking distance, it's easy to do, right? But sure enough, you'll see out-of-state license plates, really, really long fifth wheel haulers parked along the sides of the road. And we're not really set up for that type of parking, are we? But still, I try and encourage them to walk and visit and spend all their money. So, missed you guys, sorry. We'll catch up more later, gentlemen. Oh, and congratulations too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right, great.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Adrian for all the work on the project, for sure. You brought up a good point. Maybe we should be looking at, AARP as walkability and bikeability audits. That would definitely be something we need to look at. The transportation structure we currently have is based on 1950s, so streets are a little narrower in this area than up in the suburbs. I think that would help at at least give us some information on where people are moving, maybe even some counts would be nice. That would be a future, like how many people are moving across Buxton? Do we need to, how do we mitigate for that? So, yeah, and it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a moving target as things change too, so. I wanna give a thumbs up to the Troutdale maintenance crew for this last weekend. It was kind of a mess down at the river. They were more than happy to jump in and clean up trash that just got dumped, all along the, underneath the I-84. They're also under the railroad bridge as well. Yeah, and they're doing a lot more than is on their list of things to do. So when we start looking at capital projects and how some of this stuff is coming about, we need to think in terms of, okay, that's great, let's build something, but who's gonna maintain it? And do we have enough meaning to cover that as well, especially long term? When was the comp plan review? Did you have a date? No?
We don't have a date certain yet, it's just we know it's on our list that we have to.
Yeah,
working on.
the other question I had was, do we actually have a list? I was trying to find a list of neighborhood associations.
I had asked that question once. I don't recall what the answer was, and my recollection is that it is a yes, sort of.
Yes, sort of.
The city doesn't really, but there are adjacent organizations that do, and those lists may not necessarily be complete.
Okay.
But yeah,
Is that in work, or is that something the city looks at, or is that, because that seems like a real, in particular, it seems like that would integrate with the CDC really well. And if we don't have a list of neighborhood associations, then what's our outreach look like? Into who?
TBD.
TBD. To be determined.
Yeah, it's not something we're actively working on.
Okay.
If that's something that the CAC would like to get it for the city type thing, that's something we can.
So that sounds like another agenda item for sure.
Well, cause like if you go down, if you go down the citizen involvement program rabbit
Multnomah
hole.
County has a list of them,
For the tractor?
for all of Multnomah County. Apparently they have, codes for the different neighborhood associations and groups, and they've got a list of them.
I'll take a look.
Yeah,
That's Metro.
yeah, it's Metro. Oh, that's not the same, is it?
That's not the same.
But if you go down the rabbit hole, I mean, one of the things that nationwide, some city citizen involvement programs do is like actively go out into their city and create neighborhood associations. So
Sounds like a great agenda item.
yeah, some, I'm not sure we necessarily want to go there, but having an existing list of contact points to reach more people, whether it's just contact points for the various apartment blocks or HOAs that are in town.
We spoke about First Fridays, is that a place where we could have a presence as well with the community? I mean, I go to the First Fridays, but I don't see my city council there, I don't see my CAC there. Unless I run into you guys.
We've had a booth before.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I mean, the city has had a pretty consistent booth down there, usually it's Chris Ann and Erica and a rotation of
planners,
others.
right? Of the planners?
Of the planners, but I mean, the content at that booth has been kind of a rotation of different groups.
I see
whether-
the Historical Society in there, I see the Friends of the Historic Home.
I think PSIC is next one.
Yeah, cause like the focus,
I mean, we kind of missed the window for this year,
yeah,
Maybe.
the focus 2 months ago was CAC, this last month, the August one was Parks. PSEC is gonna be the next
but I
one.
think what I'm trying to say is, I think outreach should be a topic that we put
Oh,
on
absolutely.
our list.
Absolutely, and once we get the code
Yeah.
settled,
So, yeah.
that's gonna be very much kind of the next order of
You're
operations.
right on line. I think you're spot on, because what you came up with is a great baseline to start with, and we just work with that from there. So, yeah. That's all I got.
Great, thank you. Right, well, thank you to Coda for getting everything together, running on everything, and Adrian for getting us the draft and working so hard on this. I went to First Friday and the car show this weekend. Both were so well done. And the car show was great. Love that every year. And that is all I have. I want to thank you guys. It's great to see you on Zoom and in person. And we have rich, good discussions, and I appreciate all your perspectives. Yeah.
Apologize, could I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
One thing I guess I forgot, like I'm not trying to beat a dead horse or anything, but regarding the parking thing, I was just thinking that like, this isn't even complete yet, so that's not in force yet, but parking was already pretty bad, like I had trouble finding a spot just like coming here today.
I heard that from most people, she finding spots.
Have to get cones.
I think they're starting to park in the sheriff's lot too here. Because there was hardly anything when I pulled in. I mean,
Yeah, this one, on this side was pretty full.
And when I got here, only the handicap spot was open, so I had to come over here and see what was there. There's no one gonna park over here anyway.
they might need to put up a sign, at least on the sheriff's lot. We can on the other because it's public.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to make a motion?
Almost into the motion.
Perfect.
Second, Woodrow.
Thank you. Everybody?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.